So if you've been thinking of buying or selling your home, or you're a real estate agent or a real estate attorney, you may be interested to know what the California Association of Realtors just said in their webinar, a webinar designed to assuage the fears and concerns and answer questions for California Association of Realtors. My name is John McConnin. I'm a real estate attorney and a broker. I've been licensed as a broker for about 20 years in California. I've been an attorney for about 30. I started off doing real estate contracts and litigation. I did other stuff as an attorney too, but for pretty much the last 20 years, other than a few other occasional things, I've been a real estate attorney. I've been following these forums. I've got videos at what started out as UpsideDownRealEstate.com on YouTube from 10, 15 years ago. So I've been doing this a long time. I'm not just someone who's commenting because it's in the news trying to drive my videos up. Although I'd like to, because I'm going to start doing this again because I think it's important. Now, I've got a half an hour to get through this. That was my alarm. I've got to go meet my cousin who's visiting. It's a Friday afternoon. Now, I'm going to go over the notes I took while they were doing the video because they said they weren't recording it, which interestingly, one of the lawyers said they don't want to have it recorded for discovery. I thought that was an interesting thing. Now, I think it's a Jennifer Lee or Jenny Lee mentioned that she had been a litigator before this, and she was pretty quiet, which I thought was telling. I think there was a reason why they would have chosen to be quiet, but their members are freaking out. You could see in the faces before they got to the lawyer. Jen Barlow was the attorney who did most of the speaking. I thought she was excellent, well prepared, obviously prepped for the meeting, mentioned it. Got some very interesting points accomplished. I'm going to hit them there. But the president, the past president, whoever they were in the beginning of the meeting, it almost seemed like they didn't want to be there for good reason. Because if you think about this, it's an existential crisis for the National Association of Realtors, and I'm not sure if CAR lives on top of that. I'm not sure if the MLS system, which they broke out, how that's going to survive. We're going to get to those questions, but let me just say, the National Association of Realtors lost a multi-billion-dollar lawsuit. Now, they're saying they can put up a bond. I don't know if they're going to survive, and I'll get to this. I had a question here. I might as well discuss it now. Someone in the comments asked, are realtors going to have to pay for this? And I believe this was told to me. I didn't hear it. A realtor who works with me said he heard her say that it doesn't look like, or they're not planning to do any assessments yet. I thought that was pretty scary. But anyway, let me go through the order. I could probably do this from art, but let me go through an order, and then I'll have my comments, and I'll even try to remember to talk to you about what buyers and sellers should do and what buying and selling realtors should consider. Once again, I'm a lawyer and a real estate attorney. In my brokerage, we've done well over 200 transactions. I've referred out buyers all over the country. Many. I've spoken with hundreds and hundreds of people about real estate over the years. So the first thing that I wrote down, and I think it was very early on, Attorney Barlow stated, you want to tell the seller exactly where the money is going. And the California Association of Realtors forums, that's one of my future videos, does that pretty well. She said you want to be transparent, you want to be clear, and obviously you're going to want to get buyers and sellers to sign off on this. But we'll get to some more of that. So I'm just going in order now. We'll cover that more in future things. Now, I think I went back and posted this next one. You don't want to be ever discussing your fees in a group with other realtors. Now, this is a huge problem, I think, for the brokerages that are going to survive, the national franchises. As realtors, my understanding is Keller Williams training, where they were teaching their agents how to get 5 or 6%, how to get full price listings for their agents. This got played in front of the jury. This is my understanding. I did not read this. This is what was told to me. But they did say the jury rung them up, and it was apparent jurors, nobody loves realtors, right? So when you give them an opportunity to ring them up hard, boom, billions of dollars in a fairly small state. If you're a brokerage and you survive, especially a franchise, you're going to pretty much tell your realtors you can never talk fees with anybody. I don't know how a franchise is going to hold fast to their commissions. They're in deep water right now because the plaintiff's attorneys are going to come out of the woodworks and go after them. And I don't know, what if someone says, hey, I'd like you to take a 0.3% listing. It's easy for a small brokerage. As a broker, as Miss Barlow stated, I can set the tone for my brokerage. I can tell my realtors, hey, the fee here at my brokerage, to me as your broker, because you're working for me, all real estate sold through a broker. The real estate agents working for a broker are not licensed to buy and sell the properties. They're an agent of the broker. So I could, like, for instance, if I wanted to tell a realtor at my brokerage, my fee is 1%. I don't care what you negotiate otherwise. But if a transaction happens, I'd like 1%. I can do that. And now my realtor, he's free to discount to 1.125% if he wants. And I think that's going to be fine. So I think a brokerage set up with the right disclosures and handling, I think using the CAR forms, which we'll discuss, with some other addendums and with some other instructions, is going to work for small and medium brokers. The franchises, they're so screwed. But let me just say, how did they not get this defense? I'm going to tell you why. One of the funniest things about this whole scenario is I've had videos out there where for years I've explained that when you're getting multiple offers on the first day for a property, there's a good chance you're underpriced that property. And if you're not the type of realtor with tons of skills where you can go through the whole list with all your process and skills, you are probably selling real estate undervalued for the last 10 years or since the mortgage crisis. And as I was a econ major, so I kind of feel like what an economist would do. And if you were challenging me on the stand, and I'd say realtors have traditionally been selling real estate underpriced for years because we've seen multiple offers coming in. That means there's a lot of demand. And if they had done these processes well, prices would have got to their price very quickly. Even if we had to sell to cash buyers so we could avoid, obviously, the lenders they've wanted appraisers to keep the property prices down because a lender doesn't want to all of a sudden lend on something 30 or 40% more valuable than it was a week ago because that's pretty risky. But the industry itself, I think, has been keeping sellers' prices down, not screwing buyers. Buyers are getting the benefit of only paying a few percent more than the ask. And that ask, let's go back 9 years. How underpriced was that ask? Let's go back before COVID. That ask was 40% underpriced. How many buyers paid 40% more than the list price? Because that's where real estate settled out now. And now with interest rates going up, it might come back down. But based on those interest rates, buyers were getting a deal. That's why there were multiple offers so many times. I mean, I know, okay, I understand completely what I'm saying, that it's all subjective and we can't really pin it down. But that's for the very reason, that's the problem with economics, right? It's not an exact science. So I don't know how any of these brokerages could ever be so stupid as to not make that argument, but they'd have to admit that realtors have been the problem. They've been underselling properties. And I've had videos about that for years. Oh, I've got multiple offers in the first hour and I got 1% more than they asked. Really? They needed a process that I'm going to talk about that assures the best prices for their sellers and is an open process so that buyers understand it. And we're going to get to that in future videos, or you can go back and see my old ones. I've been discussing that for years. So they should win on appeal if they got some decent economists who had sold properties to multiple offers and knows what goes on, who have bought and sold properties to multiple offers and know the mistakes that most realtors, 95% of realtors, were making, in my opinion. Or go back and read my videos. Okay, so now, there was a statement in the chat, and I know which lawyer responded, but there was a question. I got a picture of it on my phone. I'm going to read you the exact question because I took a picture of it on my phone. I'm sweaty, so my phone didn't work. But okay, so let me go to it. Okay, so this is a question from, I'm going to just use the initials, from BH. Are sellers still able to provide buyers agents commissions? Then a lawyer for CAR said, hi, B, yes. Listing agents should discuss the compensation with their seller clients. Yeah, they should discuss it, but can they offer it is the question. Are they able to provide buyer's agents commissions? Now, would I do it? Yes, I'm an attorney. Ideally, a listing agent would have their sellers talk to an attorney, and maybe I'm going to bring that up, actually. I'm going to offer that. Probably start offering that on Monday. I'll do something about it over the weekend. Now, I then responded that, well, maybe I can just pull it up. there was I was like, how can she say that they are? Because my thought was, from an article I read, my glasses are obviously bent, I heard them with sports. Axios, federal case, real estate by Knutson. Let's see if it pulls right up. Hopefully it will. I think it did. I'm typing in there. Oh, I don't have. Okay, I'm going to read it to you. Okay, so you know where I got it. And Knutson, I'm looking at it, but that's not doing you any good because I didn't set it up for screen and camera. I just did camera. But let me see what he says. Well, first of all, it says will likely be years before the case is finalized. That was according to a NAR. Looks like Mantel Williams, NAR's Vice President of Communications. By the numbers, state of play, when the lawsuit, the judge overseeing the case still has to issue a final judgment in the case, which could alter or even ban the cooperative compensation ruling nationally. Well, okay, so this, whether a federal judge has that power, I don't think so. But whether he could rule and then that they would set that up for federal, if this was in federal court for regional, oh man, I forgot my jurisdiction, the breakdown. But eventually, if it's in federal, it could go up to the Supreme Court if they wanted to hear it. And then maybe the Supreme Court could set the rule. And maybe district courts for feds, the local federal cases, because they have appellate jurisdictions, Fifth Circuit, Sixth Circuit, whatever, those district courts might be able to set it up. But in the end, the real issue is money. I mean, if we got court rulings saying that sellers and presumably their agents shouldn't be offering compensation to buyers, agents, or buyers, then that's going to change, and the people who are doing it might get sued. Now, I can tell you from the car counsel's response, I think her point would be it probably doesn't apply to California because our rules and our forms are excellent. I'm going to be discussing that in their rules and forms, but for now we'll just leave it with her. And I'm going to say I would be lawyered up if I were a brokerage, a franchise, or an individual listing agent. And maybe buyer's agents too. Maybe I'll have time to get to that. So the next, Carr said they may mandate buyer brokerage agreements. They're considering that. One of the questions that she mentioned was, will MLS survive or will it be made open to the public? Or she may have brought up in the past, people tried to make it open to the public. It was her position. I think this is a paraphrase, but she was saying, what would be the point of a trade association if they had to open it up to the public? I would also add that with Realtor.com showing all the listings and Zillow getting most of them and all the other ones now that have most of the information, and it's pretty much the information that's on the MLS. I don't think that opening up to the public would matter now, especially, I guess there was a period of time where I think Redfin and others were trying to say they wanted the buyer's compensation to be made public on the website. So that's all an issue. That will be interesting how that goes forward. She mentioned that insurance covers the defense, not the award. So insurance is going to be paying for the billions if Carr either has to post a bond or pay the verdict. And again, that's where, according to another person I listened to this with, that's where the discussion about it is not anticipated that the realtors will be asked, or I hope it's not like a homeowners association telling people that they have to pay. Now, okay, this is where I started writing down my opinions on this. Now, wow, my glasses are bent. If I'm a listing agent, and I know that in some cases, buyer's agents bring lots of buyers to the table, and I know that I want to get lots of offers so I can have them work against each other and get to the highest price. I'm going to say that we should be paying buyer's agents money to bring their buyers to the table. And in a way, buyer's agents are not just bringing a buyer to the table, they're also arranging the financing. Now, financing is pretty easy to get for qualified people, but in lots of transactions, a percent, 2 or 3 in other, whether it's commercial real estate or other types of deals, the people bringing the money frequently get paid. And I know that mortgage brokers are considered there, but someone who coordinates all that is valuable to sellers. And having multiple offers is super valuable to sellers because they can pick stronger, more flexible buyers. Now, I've done lots of videos on this in the past. My belief is that if you're in a subdivision where the homes are very similar, maybe a view on this side, a view not on that side, but enough transactions have been happened where most agents with experience, most homeowners frequently don't even pay attention to price per square foot, but people understand how appraisers value property because valuations and loans are tied together. So the biggest buyer pool, the people are also going to get financing from banks. There's a limit to how much they can pay. And to get over those limits, you have to show why your house is special. And banks don't really care that much about houses being special. If you want to buy extra for a very special house, you may have to come to the table with your own money. That limits the buyer pool. But anyway, if houses are very easily valued relative to each other, then the only thing left is this a hot market? Does it justify a price increase? And those discussions have been going on for 10 years, and it's not a problem. So really, if you're the type of person that would like a fast sale to a strong buyer and be done with, and you're not trying to get super, above current value, obvious value, like you're not saying I want 10% more, I want 15% more, you may not need to even pay a buyer's agent. If your agent can put it on the MLS, offer 0, put it on the other, like I love to market. I think that agents and sellers should consider local marketing. They consider social media marketing, put it on realtor.com, put it on some of the other places, have an open house, and you're probably going to get, in reasonable markets, people coming to your property. And there's a rule of thumb. It's different for different price properties in different areas. But for instance, for the majority of properties in like in Carlsbad, Poway, really, I've sold properties all over San Diego. So the only time I'm going to exclude views that are special and very high-end properties from this. But really, if you know how much your property's worth, then you may get those offers without ever having to pay a buyer's agent. And you're like, well, could I have gotten more with a buyer's agent? Maybe you could have gotten more with cash buyers who really wanted your property. You never know. But if you're happy, you might have just put 2 to 3% in your pocket, provided that your agent's willing to work. That's another thing. Like, we should probably discuss real estate commissions right now. Let's say on a 6% listing, sometimes the listing agent will keep 6 and offer 3 to the person who represents the buyer. They'd hope to represent the buyer themselves, so they make 6%. Sometimes they take 3.5 and offer 2.5. Sometimes they take 2 and offer 3. I mean, those are things that are discussed in the forums, and if sellers should be aware, it should bypass a lot of these concerns by buyers. But my thoughts are, I think really strong listing agents are going to want to have an outside party explain this to their sellers and say, therefore, you're going to be paying your agent X. Do you understand that? And after a week or two, or maybe right away, depending on what you talk to about with your listing agent, you could start off offering 0 and then offer 2%. But the downside to this is the agents who first look at their property and see it's only 1%, might not be that desirous to bring their buyers who represent a paycheck to them to your property. It could be extra work and they're only getting 1%. So that also now brings up what buyer's agents should do. Now, if I'm a buyer's agent right now and I'm concerned that the MLS is about to fall apart and I have no idea if I'm going to be paid 0, 1, 2, 3 or more percent, I'm going to tell my buyers that I have a fee. I'm willing to work with you for $5,000 and X dollars an hour, or some sort of a la carte service. Or you can work with me on a contingency fee where you pay nothing up front, but if I've shown you a property and you buy that property, I'm going to want to get paid X percent. Now, it's a heck of a lot easier if the seller pays it than if you pay it. So therefore, we're going to have to see that the seller's offering 2% or 3% or whatever that number is to me, so that I work with you as on a contingency fee. If they're only offering 0 or 1%, I might have to say to you, I can't show that property to you because there's a chance I could help you make an offer and I'll get paid nothing. And now I'm taking on liability and my insurance company's not going to want that, or whatever, might not have an insurance company. And that, to me, taking on liability and not getting paid is not intelligent no matter how much I like you. Can't do it. So you can have those frank discussions. Again, I'm thinking what this has done is made having a lawyer on your team pretty mandatory if you are worried. Because like we said, people are worried that agents and brokers are going to get sued by class action lawyers. So all of this can be solved with disclosure. I think all of it will be solved by you putting attorneys on your team. So I didn't even plan all this ahead of time, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to be setting up a network of attorneys that are going to help agents transact real estate at reasonable value. We're going to have to do this sort of I'm not going to get much more into it. I'll probably unveil it on Monday because I'm just thinking about how the industry is going to work. That's how it's going to go. Now, I'm a lawyer and a broker, and I realize there's also a massive opportunity there, but I think I want to help the industry do things the right way and particularly help buyers and sellers navigate through this. And you can see I've already talked about this many times in both buyers and sellers. Now, I would also say there's an antitrust risk with large brokerages. I think we need to help large brokerages navigate that. I don't want to tell people, hey, I wouldn't go work at a large brokerage, but I'd make sure I was protected if I was working in a large brokerage, particularly a big franchise. I think your clients need to have the option to talk to either a realtor at another brokerage or a lawyer. I don't see how you're going to protect yourself going forward. And, they talked about in the car thing that this could take 5 to 10 years to flush out. I don't see how you're going to protect yourself going forward if you don't have super informed clients. That basically, when an attorney said to them during a deposition when they were doing the class, are you so-and-so? So did you work with so-and-so? Didn't they pay you to see an attorney before you signed this? Or didn't they give you the option of seeing an attorney, but you got to get the free training from an attorney? And I think that those attorneys need to not be associated. They can't be your in-house attorney, because that attorney is going to have a conflict, right? It's going to be tough. I'm actually thinking right now, do I want to be the attorney advising my clients? This is going to be very, very interesting. I'm going to make sure my clients watch my own videos. That's what I'm going to do. Again, I'm emphasizing here, collusion, antitrust, risk of lawsuits. You've got to protect yourself going forward if you're planning to stay in this business. And you need to come up to speed. I'm going to do these videos every day for a while. Or as often as I can. The car mentioned they have a free course, free 25 promo for buyer's agency. I'm sure that's going to evolve. I'm going to take that myself. Now, another thing, a takeaway. Ms. Barlow kept emphasizing this is a marketing strategy, she didn't say this, but I'm going to say it, not price fixing. Marketing strategy, not price fixing. Marketing strategy, not price fixing. My broker won't let me work for 1%. That's okay. I'm not, we got, what is it, the 14th Amendment talks about slavery. We don't have to work for nothing. We just can't be doing antitrust things. So it's marketing strategies. It's my choice to decide how much I work for. By the way, you can pay me up front this much, or I can work in a contingency, and that's how it works. Do you understand that? Can brokers get the listing commission? No, I must have meant the buyer's agent commission there with that note. Now, dual agency. I think with proper disclosures, it can work. Now, I think I mentioned this already, right? She mentioned that with respect to dual agency, she didn't see transaction brokerage happening in California. She must know about lawsuits, or she must know about how difficult legislation is to get passed. Or she might be aware that big brokerages, well, they can still represent both sides. I thought, because I was licensed in California as a lawyer and a realtor, I don't think I was a broker in Florida, even though maybe I could have been. Well, I was a real estate attorney and realtor at the same time in Florida, while being so out here, because we had some properties in Florida. They have transaction brokerage. I thought transaction brokers was much more real. Dual agency is tough. It can be done. I could do it because I know what I'm doing. I'm going to tell my clients ahead of time that this is all the information. You're getting it all from me as if I'm your agent. But if I wind up also working with a buyer, I'm no longer going to discuss these things with you. I'm going to discuss these things with you. So during negotiations, don't tell me your bottom line. I don't want to know it. Right? But know it ahead of time. I'd say write it down, keep it in your pocket. And if you get over that, then you should seriously consider selling, because I can tell you people get nervous during negotiations. They see multiple offers and all of a sudden they want 50,000 more. And that might be accurate. Like if you came back on the market in a month, you couldn't maybe get that 50,000 more. But if you want to sell this weekend, you've already set expectations. You have to consider that. But when this buyer isn't represented by an agent, when they come in, I'm going to be talking with their lender. I'm telling them I'm going to share that lender information with you if it's becoming a problem, if they're not going to be able to close on time. There's no way I can't share that. But with respect to Mr. Buyer, your strategies, your negotiation, you're asking for things to be repaired. I'm going to tell you, actually, I discussed that all ahead of time so they understand how my seller is going to feel, and maybe they'll walk away if they ask for too much. But, that also depends on the market. Okay, so I talked about my solution. I'm going to help all sides. The public, the broker, and the buyer. I'm going to put it together in a comprehensive package because that's what it needs to be. I'm not going to say I'm offering it all at once, but it's going to be a comprehensive understanding of what's going on now, and the best ways to transact real estate in California. My glasses are bugging me right there, aren't they? I need a haircut too. Okay, so I think I've discussed what real estate agents would do. What should buyers and sellers do? If I were a seller, I would consider talking to my agent and asking how easy it is to figure out what my home is worth. And I would say, what's the marketing that we're going to be doing? I, of course, have my own opinions and different things in different areas. But what's the marketing? How are we going to get multiple offers? How am I going to know we've got to the highest price that weekend? And your listing agent, if they see my videos or they're intelligent, they should know the answers to that. And they should make you feel very comfortable. They should also know how to negotiate multiple offers. I like to keep the strongest bidder and say, we're not going to jack you around. We're not going to do highest and best, but we're going to tell you where the other buyers are, and we're going to give you a chance to beat it or not, or maybe we'll accept your offer because you're such a good offer. And, just know that we're going to treat you fairly. We're going to give you a right of first refusal on this deal because we love you. In the meantime, we're going to be doing this with these 6 other buyers. Or however, we're going to set all that up. We're going to have a process ahead of time. So therefore, if that first weekend, if we're not getting to the level you want, or you want to try again, then we're going to put it up on the MLS and offer big compensation. We're going to make sure buyers agents know about it. Buyers agents. I'm not really ready to discuss buyers agents and the buyers brokerage agreements because I'm not sure when you're, let's say, offer 1% offer and you're asking for 2 or 3%. I'm not sure how you're going to get that into the contract without the mortgage lenders now being on alert for that stuff and saying we don't securitize buyers agents' commissions. Like, that's going to be, it's going to take me more time. We got to be careful. So you're going to, are you going to say, can you offer 3%? You're going to have to change it on the MLS. Then we're going to come in and make an offer. It's going to be difficult. Buyers. This is easy, right? I think you're going to have to contact the listing agents yourself and find out, ask questions, see if there's multiple offers, find out why the seller's selling, if they'll discuss it with you. Ask them, are you representing others? If you were to represent me, what would that look like? Are you going to get paid? All those things. There's lots of questions you should ask, or someone who's not working for you on a contingency fee might want to be asking on your behalf, if not you, so that you can then decide the best method of buying those homes. Because you want the flexibility to be able to go to that listing agent directly and still be protected. Again, I've got videos in the past. I'm going to put them all in one place. You've got to decide whether you're competing against multiple offers, what those commissions are, and what you want to do with those and who should be getting them. And it's a brand new world out there right now. Like, we don't know how the listing agents are going to be doing that. I think you want to ask them, listing agents, you better have your game ready. And that's what we're going to be talking about. You need to have your game ready. And I think that if I'm advising my buyers about how to market their property, and that's going to cost them money, like 3%, or even a flat fee to buyer's agents, at the moment, well, you can tell. My thoughts are it's going to be great to have someone else or an attorney advising them about their rights with the right forms and them signing off. I know, because of this industry, that many of you are going to try to take care of this with a form. I suspect Carr is going to try to take care of this with a form. I don't think buyer's agents, I don't think plaintiff's lawyers are going to be stopped by a form, right? And you think about juries just ringing up billions of dollars. This is going to happen all over the country, right? Until the Supreme Court puts a stop to it. So, even if you're like, we're not going to lose, we got nice forms, you're still going to have attorney's fees out the wazoo, potentially. Basically, in short, I think we've just seen full employment for attorneys. And maybe rightly so. I mean, really, we have had realtors sort of practicing law with a car license, right? Because cars made these great forms that take attorneys out of it. Well, I think we've sort of seen what happens when an industry says, let's do everything we can to bring in all the money and not keep our clients well advised. Again, videos on that for years. I will also say, if you go back and see my videos, I'll also say I used to be against dual agency, but once you start selling houses, you kind of get used to the double ending. It's nice to make $40,000, $50,000 on a transaction. Absolutely. I said that. But I've also said that, let's see what I've also said. There are reasons why it's really good for sellers to have them working with the buyer, especially when it comes to the loans and whether people are really going to close and whether these buyers are motivated and that they've been counseled ahead of time about how this transaction should go. Because for them, it should be, I can close in 2 weeks, it's about the money or whatever it is. We don't want the ticky-tacky, I'm going to come in, because this has happened to me as a seller. We're going to win the multiple offer, but then they're going to come back. I was flipping properties with a guy in my brokerage, Phil, so we borrow money to do that, right? So when it's a slow market, let's say it's January, you don't know what's happening with rates. Someone makes an offer, it's a little low, but you're like, okay, it was the best of the three. And then they come back and say, like, a long amount of time into the transaction, by the way, we want to pay less because of these windows aren't double paned. Well, they could have seen that the first day. It was a choice we made to keep the house looking the front the way it was. But they used it as an excuse, I believe, to knock us way down on our profits. They ate into our profits. So, wow, where did I get lost on that? So there are agents who are counseling their buyers, let's win the multiple offer negotiations and then negotiate back some money. That's one of the reasons why it's great to have your agent counsel the buyers, come back and say, this is how I've told them it needs to work if they want to make an offer, and they chose to make an offer. My name is John McConnin. I'm a real estate attorney and a broker. Let me see if I don't even know where to send everybody. Let's see if this is even working right now. Yeah, we'll make it winnerscheck.com is going to be the main website. I don't even know. I don't even know what the software is on there right now, but I'm going to straighten it up. I think at first we can expect to just have consults. Maybe you submit your information, you talk to someone on my team, and then we talk. But over time, I'll flesh this stuff out and make offers, especially when I'm talking to you and here, I want to talk to people in the beginning, agents, home buyers, and sellers, because I want to see what people want. All right, thanks. winnerscheck.com. My name is John McConnin. I'm a real estate attorney and a broker licensed in California. Thanks, bye.